Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you another video. All right, so I was listening to the fellas over at Laker Nation, trying to just get myself back in the swing of things, as I, of course, got so much going on in real life, but there's still a very much of a eye on the Lakers. And since the draft is now coming up, Denver Nuggets just won the championship. We're officially in the offseason. Of course, we'll know what's going on with Ja Morant very soon. I think that suspension could be rather lengthy. And now it's time to start talking about what we really want to see happen for your various teams here. Of course, it's LA. We're the Laker fans over here. So at this point, my mindset is, after listening to those guys talk about what they want to do a little bit, I have more of their content to watch. But essentially, what I wanted to kind of talk about was just whether or not I'd want us to draft for fit at 17 or draft for the best pick available. Well, if you saw my mock draft that I made last week, you saw that I went absolutely with what I thought was the best pick available. I took G.G. Jackson. And the reason why I did is because I thought he was a sweet medium between a player that fit what we need to, fits in terms of his play style and height, what we could use more front court help to behind AD and Bron. And also he could be somebody who could hit a shot. Upside looks like it's about as high as anybody in probably the range, you know what I mean? If not higher than that. He has really, really serious upside, and you just got to wait on him. The youngest player in the entire draft. Had some immaturity replies about his immaturity, I guess you could say. So, you don't expect much from a guy that's only 17 years of age, but you do expect that his body type and his skill set directly benefits the Lakers shooting, benefits our ability to put the ball on the floor with bigger players, benefits overall our size, and just as, again, opportunity for us to back up AD and Bron. And then from there, I think that our team has the best development department probably in the league. I like our scouts and our training facilities. South Bay Lakers, I think I'll match us up against anybody. So that puts me in a space where I feel like taking a chance on a guy like Gigi could really be a good thing, or a guy who has more development to do. You take the fit and kind of just say, we don't want to get a bad fit on our team, but I'm definitely going to make sure that the player I like has upside that is really going to help us, rather than just picking up a guy who fits and now we got somebody that can slot next to Bron and we can really help Bron win a championship, and all that good stuff is wonderful. But if Bron's going to be out of here in 5 minutes, we got to make sure that pick can do the things that we needed to do to develop into who we needed to be. I like the idea of bringing in a Jordan Hawkins, but if Bron's out, AD's out, and you ain't got nothing but a shooter. So that's why I'm kind of like, I want Jordan Hawkins to go to a spot that has a bit more stability to it, so that he's not waiting to be a part of a reset situation. That's not the type of player I want in a reset situation. So the Lakers got to think about that. Yes, do you want to put a player on a team that fits? Yeah, but you also want somebody who can be part of the new wave. You know what I mean? And part of what it will otherwise be with Austin Reeves. If you could bring back Rui, obviously Max Christie, you want to bring them yet another piece that fits what they going to be. And that's why I went with Gigi on my mock. But there are other players that I think fit that mold. I just don't know that they'll be available at our range. But, that's the thing. I think listening to those guys, they feel the same way I do. The more you dig into this draft, the more you feel good about it. It's not that there's going to be a bunch of superstars in this thing. It's only about one or two of those. But all of the rotational guys are going to be high-level starters or great bench players. Guys might make an all-star team. Guy might make, a six-man. It's a lot of them type of dudes in this draft. And I think it's a good chance that 5 years from now, more than half the league came out of this draft. I just think that this draft has a lot of good players that their floor is NBA. Like, I just think the floor for most of these dudes is the NBA. So I'm high on even the guys in the second round. Some of the dudes in the second round I'm just starting to find out about. They're good too. So you got to respect what this class is really going to be able to potentially be. I'm not opposed to trading down to get 2 picks. I'm not trading down to get a rotational player in a pick. No, I want more picks in this draft. So that's how I'm looking at it if I trade down. I'm open-minded about trading up, because I think 17 is probably the worst spot to be in this range, to be honest with you. Because if you move back further, And you still got players you like as much to take it the 17th pick at like 22. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it is. I think if you have somebody you really, really love in this draft and you happen to think that the range is 17, then you're in the perfect spot. But other than that, you're probably doing better either trading up to about 12 to solidify who you want, or trading back to get multiple picks so that you can have more of the litter. So that's really what it is for me. I don't think one is enough in this draft. You want more than one pick in this draft. We do have two, one at 47 as well. And I honestly, genuinely think that we're going to get a good player at 47 too. I do. Some of them names back there, Kobe Brown, Kobe Jones, Bobby Clintman went back to college. I found that out today. Actually, I think he went to some other thing, some other type of thing he's going to do for a year to try to develop himself. So we're not going to have him available. He's a really good player. But Jaime Jaquez, even though I think he's going to be gone probably the very beginning of the second round or probably the end of the first. But, like, they got guys, man. Olivier Maxence Prosper. Man, if we can get that dude, you know how happy I would be if we got him at 47? Not to say that he would be there. He shouldn't be. But that's just the point. Like, there's dudes on the back of the bench. Maxwell Lewis. I think Maxwell Lewis probably going to go 30. And most of Laker Nation already knows about that dude because he fits so well and he has those arms. Doesn't really play defense, but he's capable of really fitting into what we do. I trade back to get him. You guys know I like Podzinski. I think it's Podzinski. I was saying his name wrong. That dude is one of my favorite players in this draft. He'll probably go at like 25 or something like that. Amari Bailey is a player I'd like to add. He's probably going to go in the second half of the draft. I mean, it's just, I've been following the NBA draft all my life. And I haven't really done homework on all the prospects, you know, on most years. I mean, generally, I don't do homework on the prospects. But it seems to me that, like, this year seems like it's one of the deepest drafts. And it seems like more of the names will be memorable guys. Now, maybe that turns into them being busts. But I just don't remember having so much excitement about dudes in the second round as I do right now. Like, that's just really what it comes down to. I think about Kobe Brown and Olivier Maxence Prosper. Some of them other names that just won't pop up in my head right now. But them dudes in the second round are guys, man, I would love for the Lakers to get multiple second round picks so we can get into that pot too. Even though a lot of the good guys went back to school, I just really think that there's going to be plenty of opportunities for our scouts to find the best stuff possible. So, you know, I think that's what it is, man. I don't really want nobody on our team that can't hit a shot. I don't want nobody that can't play defense. So those are the two things that I just don't want to have nothing to do with. So you're looking at certain players like Bryce Sensabaugh, excellent offensive player, defensive liability. Guys that y'all want like, what's his name? Jet Howard, excellent in a lot of ways offensively. Defensively, it's not going to work out. You know, so those are the type of things like I know those players fit the need, but I don't really like them like that. I'm not for us, not when they can't play defense. So these are the type of things like a lot of people really don't mind the defensive end not being played. But I'm telling you, man, for every score a guy makes, he's going to give it up. And some of them shots ain't going in. So your odds of them giving up more than they give you is high as hell. If you really think about it, it's high as hell because they ain't going to play no defense. So it's definitely going to be giving up. But are they going to hit shots? I mean, even if they're efficient, they ain't going to make more than they give up. So for me, it's never a positive bringing in a guy who's zero on the defensive end unless I can surround him with a bunch of defensive talent. And look, we got AD, but look at what we're going up against, man. You saw Joker. You know, if you can't defend, you got no shot. Now, if you can't hit shots, you got no shots either. So I can hear both sides. But at the end of the day, if you can't defend, I just feel like you're more than likely to give up more than you give us. The numbers tell me that most of the time. So that's what I say there, man. I just want us to get somebody that I really think has the upside while still has the ability to address some of our needs and fill a need that we don't have. If you bring me Jordan Hawkins, that makes me feel good for this roster because you're going to replace Malik Beasley and he's going to go nuts shooting the ball and he's going to be like Rip Hamilton, driving people crazy, running around all the time. I'd rather him be on our team so none of our guys have to guard him. So he's definitely somebody I would like us to draft, even though I don't think he's a post-LeBron type of guy. I also don't think you'll have a hard time trading if it comes to that. Nor do I think you'll actually want to. But he's, again, not the type of player you want to be left alone with. So these are the type of things I'm thinking about. A guy like Leonard Miller is one of my favorite players. I'll be ecstatic if the Lakers ultimately land on him, but I don't think he's a good fit for this team because he's not going to be able to hit threes a lot of the time and not a reliable jump shooter. So it's like there's no perfect pieces in this draft, and maybe if the Lakers just have to have fit, they'll probably end up trading the pick. But trading out of this draft is something I definitely do not want us to do, and from what I understand, the Lakers don't plan on doing that. But plans can change. And but I get the feeling that the Lakers hear us out in regards to believing that they have great scouts and probably wanting them to have an opportunity to draft a very good pick, especially since good chance next year we probably won't have it with New Orleans having an opportunity to take one of them 2 picks from this year, next coming year, or the one after that, as we said earlier in the video. So, you know, when I look at the Lakers right now, I just say, okay, our point guard position is the one we're really going to have to pay attention to, because if D'Lo walks, and maybe it becomes a situation where you don't get Fred VanVleet for whatever reason, Kyrie Irving resigns with Dallas. Now you're looking for a replacement point guard, and you may not be able to find one. So that is something I think the Lakers should really consider when drafting 17 and 47. Make one of them dudes a point guard. So Jalen Hood-Schifino might be the worst idea. Nick Smith might not be the worst idea. There's a few others as well that's not coming to mind. Obviously, Kobe Buffkin is somebody that I think we should draft if he's available. Cason Wallace, if he's at 17, you will take him. So these are the type of things we're thinking about. Also, I understand that Bilal Coulibaly's value is going up, but the guarantee that he's going to OKC may have not necessarily been a guarantee. I don't think he gets us to us at 17 at all. I'm pretty sure he's gone by then. But if for some reason he's on that board at 17, you definitely take him too. So it's a lot of guys that I think that we believe will not be available at 17. But I think if this lottery shakes out the way that it looked like in May, one of them dudes may actually fall, man. Somebody might actually fall. I don't know who it's gonna be. For me, that player is Keontae George. That's the one who fell in my mock. He's the one. He's supposed to be like an overall 14th consensus, but I've been watching other people's mocks, and they see it the same way I do. A lot of them have him going in the 20s, because even though he's an overly talented jump shooting, fadeaway kind of guy, can just jump around and score 50 points a game. At the end of the day, it's just not really, unless you're turning into Jamal Murray, so to speak, you only see him getting up to like J.R. Smith level, that kind of thing. And that's cool. That's nice. But that's not quite what you want at 14 when you consider the type of players surrounding him. But I think if we were to get a player like that on our team, I think ultimately we would be enamored with his scoring ability. We would love him for a lot of what it is that he does right. So that's what I think about Keontae George. If he's available at 17, I don't think I take him, but I don't think he should probably fall too far like I have in my mock. Not necessarily because I'm high on him, but because the field is higher on him than that. So you respect his draft range. Maybe you pick him up and trade him, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I don't know if one of them high lottery pick guys, if Utah actually passes on one of them dudes, because I actually don't think that actually happened. And let's say Coulibaly falls to 16, they're taking Coulibaly. If Cason Wallace falls to 16, they're taking Cason. So that's what I think happens with Utah, because since they have 2 picks, there should be no reason they don't clean up whatever mess is made by that draft. If Grady Dick falls to 16, they're taking him. So you know what I'm saying? So that's why I said 17 is probably the worst place to be, because you got 2 teams with 2 picks, Orlando and Utah, picking before you. Before you even get to your first pick, you got 2 teams that already got 2 picks up. So that means that if any of them dudes that ain't supposed to fall, likely either Orlando or Utah is just going to snatch them up. So that's really my concern in regards to where we're drafting it. I just don't like it, man. I would rather us maybe trade up to get Utah's pick, or trade up to get New Orleans' pick, or something like that, so we can kind of have an opportunity to get more of a stranglehold on whoever the Lakers really want. So that's the key, man. And I really don't have any understand notion of what the Laker organization is looking at in regards to who they would want. I know what the fans want. I know who, the fans have been told they should want. So a lot of fans don't know but to take on that information and roll with it. But doing your own homework is the only way to really be certain if what you want is actually what's best. Because a lot of times you're just going to listen to these guys throw names out there, and the names are going to be catchy names. Or they're going to, he's going to be somebody's son or something like that. But at the end of the day, it may not be what you need. It may not be the best player available for you. Might just be a player that he might just have the right representation and thus gets his name out there more so than maybe any other prospect. And that's something we have to be aware of. It's a business. And when it comes to these prospects, hey, shoot somebody a little bit of money. Hey, suddenly you're hearing nothing about any of them other dudes. Now you're just only hearing about this guy. Bilal Coulibaly is the only name you hear. That's because he signed to so-and-so. And so that's the kind of thing you just got to be careful. Do your due diligence. And the Laker organization needs to be, on high alert about people trying to funnel you prospects that maybe aren't best just because you're the Lakers and they want their guy in your uniform. So the Lakers need to be careful not to get conned like that. It can happen too. It really can. But I just want my team to cross all its T's and dot all its I's as it pertains to these prospects and do what makes the most sense for their future. I know we got a present to deal with. LeBron and AD, all of that is very real. But it's the same thing I said about Dame. I'm not letting Scoot leave my organization so that Dame could have a chance to win the championship in the final hour. I'm not doing that. I'm going to make sure that the first hour with Scoot Henderson is what I prioritize, and Dame can either get in where he fit in or get out. And I kind of feel similar about the Lakers, although we don't have a chance to know Scoot Henderson, so we ain't kicking nobody out for that to happen. But as far as me passing up on a player that I think has the upside that can make me better just so I can bring them a piece that makes them better, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Now, as I said, I'm not going to bring them a piece that's going to mess up the team just because he has high upside. I'm not going to do that either. He has to be able to do things that we need him to be able to do right now. But I think you can do that. You can find a guy with this. That's why I went with Gigi Jackson. Because I know even though he might not necessarily be ready, if I put him on the floor, he's going to give me stuff that other people don't necessarily bring to the table already. He's going to have some abilities that aren't found on our team that otherwise need to be there. And so I felt like I was filling a fit, a need, and giving us that upside that ultimately helps us. So if he's on the board, depending on who else is up there, I'm taking him. I'm taking him and I'm putting him on the South Bay Lakers, and I'm telling LeBron James we're going to run out there and we're going to be fine. Because that's exactly what I think. If this lottery pick for some reason doesn't pan out to be the greatest thing in the world, it just is what it is. But me drafting a piece that only fits next to Bron and AD when they only going to be here for 2 more years, I am not doing that unless that piece also fits what's going on afterward. So that's my take on it. I hope everybody is, doing their homework on these prospects, because there's some good ones, but you're going to pick one and leave some others on the board that probably end up being better than that one. That's just how this looks to me. Jalen Hood-Schifino is a player I've been paying attention to. Big guy. I think he fits pretty well. Could slip in, allow us to get rid of D'Angelo Russell and, still have a starting point guard for the future. If for some reason Bron leaves, you're starting over. Max Christie, Jalen Hood-Schifino, obviously Austin. I like how that looks. That looks pretty good to me. Derek Lively is a player that I think at this point, you probably are obligated to take him at 17, just like you are Kobe Buffkin or Bilal Coulibaly. I think at this point, he's better than 17 and should be off the board. So who slips down if that's the case? And see, that's where it becomes tricky for me. Like, I legitimately think we're probably going to have an opportunity at Jordan Hawkins or, somebody that we don't expect to be there. Derek Lively may be available, as we already mentioned his name. I don't expect guys like Hendricks to fall, Thompson twins. I definitely do not expect them to get past 8. Guys like that, Hendricks is not expected to go past 10. So you can just kind of see how certain teams will be very happy if certain players fall and they're not going to be there at 17. That's basically what I'm saying. I had in my mock draft, I had what's that guy's name over there? It's about to play Cam Whitmore. I had him going all the way down to Utah. So it's a lot of stuff that can shake out in real life, man. But I think the one player that I'm paying attention to right now is the second Thompson twin, Alzur Thompson. I had him going 6 to Orlando. I also think Orlando could shock the world and maybe snatch Jarris Walker from the Pacers. Everybody knows Pacers want Jarris Walker. And I also think that the Orlando Magic have plenty going on with their power forward position. So taking Jarris Walker really doesn't help them in terms of you're going to have to start getting rid of some guys in order to make his piece make sense. So I just don't see them taking Jarris Walker. Because then you're like, well, we got Paolo Banchero and Bol and Franz Wagner. It's like, how many of them dudes do you need? You're going to take Jarris Walker, you ain't going to even start him. You're going to have him play the small ball center on a team like that? What about Carter? You moving on from Carter? I wouldn't. The way he's been playing, he's going to get better. So it's like, Orlando don't need no front court player. I have them firmly taking a point guard, or Grady Dick is who I have him taking, or Ausar Thompson, because I think you can slip him in at the 3 or the 4. The 2 and the 3. So I'd have him play 2 for me and just have him be facilitator, defensive player, and athlete until the jump shot comes around. So I think that that's what I would do if I'm Orlando. But I could see Orlando going in a different direction entirely. I could see them reaching for Cason Wallace. I could see them shocking people and taking Anthony Black and just moving on from their point guards, even though Markelle Fultz is really balling. I could see Anthony Black, on this team, and they'll just make it work and have him down there in the front, in the back court with Fultz. And I don't know if I'd want him to play the 2, but he's big enough to. Anthony Black is. That's the thing. He's big enough to play the 2. So it's like he's big enough to play the 3, to be honest with you. So I think if you look at him that way, if you put it like this, Anthony Black is a true point guard, but because he's so big, I can get away with him being facilitating 3, facilitating 2. And so if you have that vision in your head, it can work. I say the same thing about Anthony Black going to the Pacers. Like, I'm just certain they're going to get Jarris Walker. But if for some reason Orlando does take Jarris Walker, they may take Ausar Thompson. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to put a real point guard next to Tyrese Halliburton, because Tyrese Halliburton is hyper cerebral. So whatever you put him on the floor with, he's just going to be a part of the floor. He gonna be like an extension of the ball itself. I said the same thing about Lonzo Ball and his style. Hopefully he gets to come back, play ball again. But that's who he is. He's like an extension of ball movement itself. You ain't got to really worry about nobody sticking to those players, because those players are looking to move the ball and take rhythm shots that are likely going in. So it's like, I don't think Tyrese Halliburton is the type of player that's going to have any trouble on a basketball floor. Anytime, anywhere. He's just got it like that. And because of it, I can put him next to players that are less likely to fit with most other guys. I really believe that. And with that being said, Indy might not be the worst fit for the other Thompson twin, Amen. Indy might not be the worst fit for Amen Thompson. This is a real thought coming to you in real time. I ain't heard nobody talk about Amen Thompson going to the Pacers because he's not likely to be there. But since they have the 7th pick, maybe they can trade up to get him if they see him like that. I think that might be the best fit I've thought of for him. Why? Because of Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton is one of the best shooters on the planet, and he's one of the best facilitators on the planet, and he can rebound the ball very well, and he can play the 2, and he can play the 1, and he can play the 3 very, very comfortably. Amen Thompson cannot shoot. We know that. But everything else he does, including facilitating, is excellent. He's a point guard, yes. But, again, Ty played the 2 in Sacramento and thrived playing the 2. He can do it again. And he'll likely have the ball in his hands more because Amen is going to be looking for him. Excuse me. So with Amen looking for him, salute to Kobe Minute, I think that could be a potentially very good situation, because what you'd be doing is surrounding Amen with shooters. You got Halliburton as a shooter. You got Buddy Hield if you bring him back, even though he's likely not to come back. You got Mathurin, who's an excellent shooter. And all these guys have the ability and size to defend. You got Turner, who's a shooter. You seeing how this is coming together, you guys? I think the Pacers may be looking at their roster and saying, Amen Thompson might not be the worst fit for us. And Amen Thompson doesn't have many fits in this league, in my opinion. I don't think Houston's the best fit for him, even though people are excited about pairing him up with Green. In a nutshell, yeah, I'm excited about pairing him up with Green anywhere, on any team, anywhere in the world. But that's not the only thing they have. And if that's not what they're going to strip it down to, I don't know that the fit makes any sense. So that's my thing with Amen Thompson. The Houston Rockets are in a position to take Amen Thompson. I think their franchise loves Amen Thompson. Their front office loves Amen Thompson. But their front office also wants to bring back James Harden. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in them right now. To be honest with you, I don't think they're doing the right thing at all. So if I'm Amen Thompson, I'm hoping they pass on me so I don't end up in a situation with a bunch of young kids on a team that wants to be old all of a sudden. I really am irritated with the Houston Rockets, but that's a whole nother story. The point is, I would rather Amen Thompson go up there with Indy, get Indy trade up and draft Amen Thompson, put him up there with all your guys, and see what he can do. Because I know they want to fill their 4 spot, but I'm also a believer in Jaden Smith. Not to say that he's going to be as good as Jarris Walker. He ain't. But he's still going to be somebody who could play that 4. Amari Brissett, that's still somebody who could play that 4. I don't know if they bring these guys back. I don't know the contractual situation. But they got guys that could play that position. And so for me, it's like, I'm a fan of Jarris Walker. I think he'd be great in the Indiana Pacers. But he's a bit more traditional in such a way that I just think he makes the Pacers a solid team. He's not, and solid meaning playoff team, excellent upside. Couple years from now, they could really make noise. You put Amen Thompson on that team, and they're a difficult team to guard. That's what it really comes down to. They go from a good traditional team with the, if you bring in what they're expected to have, which is either Hendricks or Jarris. If they bring in either one of those two dudes, I think the Pacers are really good, man. You see what I'm saying? The fist pump, really good, solid. They'll probably be a 6 seed soon. That kind of thing. Mathurin, that team fits together. It's nice to watch. It's going to be a good traditional squad. Halliburton's probably going to end up winning MVP in the next 4 years. I think he's that good. But do I ever think they're actually going to be so crazy great that if, for example, if they make it to the finals, are the ratings going to be any good? Hell no. They're not. Nobody's going to watch it. But if you put an Amen Thompson on that Indy team, he's going to get a brand new culture. You got a whole new culture. You got a whole new look. It ain't nothing reminiscent of anything you've ever had. I think the Pacers should consider what it looks like to trade up and take that player. I think that fit is probably as good as a fit that Amen Thompson is going to get in my mind. That's about as good as a fit as he's going to get. Because that Rockets fit, Sengun, I love Sengun. Y'all know that's one of my favorite players, but I don't know if that's a good fit. Amen Thompson can't shoot. Sengun wants to be in the paint. The athletes they already got on the team, plus the lottery picks that they're not even developing properly. They got guys on the back of that team they ain't even developing, that they took in the lottery last year. So my thing is, the Rockets need to make more sense of their roster before they continue to just keep adding kids. And the idea that you should just take the best player available with no fit in mind, that's not good when you've been adding nothing but lottery picks for the last 5 years. You got to get them fitting together, or you're going to have them dissipating into nothingness because they don't fit with one another. Essentially what happens is you're going to have them looking bad because the team ain't no good, because the team don't fit, and they're never going to develop into what it is they're supposed to be. It's like you say, it's sort of like this. You take the best players available in each draft, but their attributes don't necessarily gel together. So what ends up happening is, while you're trying to figure out which is the best of them, what you're really actually going to find is which ones can rise to the top in the midst of not having a good fit at all. And you will misevaluate the other talent because of it. So you think this guy couldn't play, when actually it wasn't like that. It was just that you put them in a situation that they couldn't flourish in, And as a result, you were able to see who could flourish in that situation of chaos and who couldn't. You give away the players you think couldn't, they turn out to be better than the ones you kept. So that's my thing about a team like Houston that just keeps on loading up on the best possible player every year. And we got Amon, yeah, let's get him too. No, that works when you have a bunch of stuff that already fits. If everything was gotten that way, you got a jambalaya of high level upside talent that's going to lower itself in value by being on a team that don't fit for itself. So that's something that's been on my mind lately. I just think that a lot of times when you just throw these players together, you're not actually seeing what it is that they can do because they're not supposed to be together. They're supposed to be on teams where things are either built around them or they are part of a cog that fits a whole machine. So if I said that correctly, the point is I just think that's a misguided way of doing things because I now have a much better understanding about fit and how one hand washes the other as it pertains to different players. If you got a guy down there who only look at Dallas situation. They don't have no center, so it's a layup line. Okay, well, if you only drafting the best player every year, there's a good chance that you're never going to have something that you need. Like you're going to have a big hole on your team, like Dallas has on its team. When if you put your team together that way, let's get the best player. Okay, they're all guards. Let's get the best player. Looks like Dallas going to do that again. We don't want Lively. We want Grady. But you already got that, and you got a big gaping hole in your paint. So for me, it's like, make sure that if you're going to just pick and plug like the Rockets tend to do, make sure the fit makes sense so that all the players can play their best, look their best, and then be valued at their best. Because if you decide to just pick and plug what you have, it's not an actual team. You just got a bunch of really, really talented players that don't fit with one another, and so on and so forth. So, assessing these guys and whether or not they are playing well, or whether or not they fit on certain situations, whether or not they're supposed to be as high a level as you draft them to be. It's just so misguided when you put them together like that. So yeah, that's what I want to say. The Lakers, as far as we're concerned, we could draft for fit. We could certainly draft for fit because of our timing on the timeline. But again, as I've already said, I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to do that unless that player happens to have that upside. So yeah, man, that's what I'm at. That's what I wanted to say, man. I'm so excited about this draft, even though it's a good chance I won't actually get a chance to even see it because I'm gonna be en route, moving probably like literally that day. Hopefully I can get things done sooner, but that's the cutoff day for my situation. So it's a good chance I'm gonna miss the draft after being so excited about it. But maybe it'll work out a different way. I think regardless if I'm seeing it or not, I'm gonna have my ear to it, and I'm gonna definitely be paying attention to what happens afterward, with a whole lot of excitement about our team and what we could do with both of those picks. Hopefully we stay in this draft and don't try to trade it away for some CJ McCollum or some stupid crap like that, man. Don't let none of these teams psych you out of the talent that you have, LA. That's what I want to say to my own squad. Don't let nobody psych you out of your team, because at the end of the day, they are going to try to leverage that LeBron James, Anthony Davis timeline against you. And at the end of the day, that timeline is at the end, man. It's the end of that timeline. So if you're not looking to rebuild or replace or move forward, then it's just going to be you starting from scratch like we did when Kobe was near the end and we couldn't get nothing going for ourselves. Rebuilding and all of that stuff under the Jim Buss era, just a nightmare to look back on. And we got ourselves out of it. And I think that there's something to be said for never allowing yourself to fall back into that. While still maintaining and understanding that rebuilding may be necessary. You don't want to find yourself trying to rebuild and you get a bunch of duds accidentally and now your team is horrible forever. Which is what a lot of teams are afraid of, which is why you see so many teams like Washington and certain teams that just refuse to rebuild. Portland, they're just scared to rebuild because they know if they get the wrong crop of youngsters, they're probably going to be moving to Vegas or something like that, like literally. But it's one of those situations where this is why if I'm one of those small market teams, I got the best scouting department in the league. That's why. Because I'd be damned if I'm going to go in blind, not picking the best talent possible in these drafts if I know I can't get no free agents. My G League team is going to be amazingly put together, and my development department is going to be A1. My training facility and all that stuff going to be A1 because it's all about player development for small markets. You may not get the lucky, bowling ball. Lottery the ball. You may not. You may mess around and have Washington luck or New York Knicks luck. And in those situations, you want to have a good enough scouting department to be able to find the Austin Reeves, be able to find the Fred VanVleets. You know what I'm saying? You got to be good enough to, in those departments, to be able to find something good with that 7th pick that you're going to keep landing every year. So, that's what I got to say about small market teams particularly. Make sure your scouting department and all that good stuff is the best it could possibly be. And, yeah, that's what's on my mind. I think trying to go through certain teams, I'm looking at Sacramento in my head for some reason. I don't anticipate them doing anything. I think they're in a really good spot. They're probably going to draft, I think it's like 23 or something like that. I got them taking Chris Murray. But I just think there's an opportunity for them as a contender who has yet to win a championship. Well, I think the Rochester Royals did win in like 60-something probably. But they ain't never won nothing in Sacramento. And I just think after watching the Denver Nuggets win, I think a lot of these teams that's never won anything probably going to make a push to try to see if they can be another team that has their first overall championship. So they were near the Western Conference top all year long. They got the great beam gimmick. And I just wonder if they're going to try to load up on something and we don't see them coming. I know their cap situation's a little funny. I wouldn't want to tweak that roster too much because it's really good already. And they are deep as hell. But for some reason, they just popped up in my head. So I mentioned it. But I honestly don't anticipate them making any changes. Philly's a team that I'm looking at, though, because we now know Nick Nurse is there. And, of course, we couldn't figure it out earlier today. But I think there's a chance you might see some movement there. I don't know if they really want to go forward with the same roster. James Harden going to be out. Why do I need Tobias Harris on the books? That's a question I have to ask myself. Do I really need him on the books when I got McDaniels behind him, who's probably going to have an upside that's pretty good? Isn't this the year to move on from Tobias? I think it is. Nobody's mentioning that. I'm not saying that that's something I heard at all. I'm just telling you I'm pulling that out of my head. I think it's time to move that player. I'm moving forward with Tyrese Maxey. And I tell you, man, I'm an ambitious dude when it comes to stuff like that. But that's Daryl Morey. He's not thinking like that. But if I'm Philadelphia, I'm getting my best package together, and I'm going to try to see if I can get one of those first 2 picks. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that Scoot Henderson and Tyrese Maxey is the fit. I don't think so. But Brandon Miller in Philly, replacing Tobias Harris, I like that. I like that a lot. Something to think about, you know what I mean? So you want to shake things up in Philly, you bring Joel Embiid, one of them top 2 picks, or 2 and 3, one of those 2 picks. You want to really keep Joel thinking about Philadelphia, you bring him Scoot Henderson. You know what I'm saying? And so these are the type of things I'm thinking about. I do think that those 2 picks could possibly be on the move, just like everybody else does. And I think they could potentially be going to a place that nobody sees coming. I've been mentioning the Clippers the whole time. It's all it takes is Steve Ballmer to come around and see the light. That's all it takes. All I need is big boy Will, Steve Ballmer, to see the light, fam. Kawhi is done. PG still has value. You got to do something, man. You got the biggest pockets in sports history, bro. Forget the biggest pockets in sports. Ain't nobody ever been richer on a team like that. Nobody's been richer than that. He needs to just see the light as it pertains to this team. He has the big stadium getting ready to be built down the street. I am going to do everything I can to make sure I have a future. And with Paul George in place, you may be able to get a player like Scoot if you can switch some things around, send his butt to Portland, take back Anthony Simons, and they will probably give you Scoot Henderson. Kawhi Leonard, I don't even care after that. I got Scoot Henderson. Kawhi can be here for the ride if he wants to be. But that's the type of move I'm going to make because I don't have a path to any picks at all in the future. So if I can pull this off, maybe I don't have any picks to put good players around Scoot, but I got Scoot. Deal with me. You know what I mean? That's how I'm going to move. I got Scoot. We're going to hold on to him for a couple years until our picks replenish, and we're going to do what we got to do and start our franchise with this young player. You know what I mean? Send Paul George to Charlotte or something. I don't care. Just get him out of here. The point is you're resetting your situation. And you're bringing the Clippers a brand new team to put in Intuit Stadium with a young, exciting superstar level youngster, rather than trying to go into Intuit with old Paul George, old Kawhi Leonard, and whatever else is going to be there, which I think is just it's not the way to go. So that's what's on my mind, man. I'm hell bent on the Clippers rebuilding. I'm hell bent on that. I'm really imploring them to do so, desperately for their sake. Get rid of all of it, all of it, all of it, including that too. Get it out of there. The only thing that should be left is Terrence Mann and Zubats. I don't want nothing else. Coffee, that's it. Some of them dudes, the mainstay names, Gordon, Batum, all them dudes, Kawhi, PG, what's the other guy that we really like? Powell, all them dudes out. They all got to go somewhere else. All of them. And I'm putting Scoot, Terrence Mann together, and whatever else futures I can get for those two superstar players. If I can get some future first rounders for both of them, I've won. And let them guys go wherever they're going to go. Because I promise you, next year ain't going to be no different for you Clippers. Ain't going to be no different. I don't care what you do, you're not beating Jokic. Let's just be honest. They ain't beating Jokic. So they might as well reset their situation with one of these top players. If they could put Miller on their team, that'd be an excellent start for their situation. And trade everything and just leave yourself with Miller. Hell, that's what I'm doing. And let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm trading Kawhi Leonard for the second pick. I'm trading PG for the third pick. And I'm putting Miller and Scoot together on the Clippers, and that's how we move it. Why not? You ain't doing nothing else, Clippers, and you best believe both of those teams will be very happy to make that trade, so long as you're willing to take back salary, which you shouldn't have no problem doing. What's it going to take me? Gordon Hayward on one end? Stretch that. Who am I going to take from the other end? Who is it? Anthony Simons? Happy to have him with the Clippers. Happy. You're happy to have him. What are they going to give you? What's the other guy whose name just keeps on skipping past me over there in Charlotte? With the big old contract. You're happy to have him too. If it's going to get you Scoot Henderson, get him here. So I don't know. Y'all married to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Misguided. And you ain't going nowhere. You're going to keep on being the Clippers, and it's going to keep on making us Laker fans very happy to see it. So I'm trying to help. I don't know why I am, but I'm trying. While wearing my Lakers NBA championship shirt, by the way. So that's what I got to say, man. That's my little thought of the night. It just feels good to get back into a basketball conversation for a change. Everything I've been doing is basically dealing with problems and preaching, honestly. But if you follow my channel, you know how passionate I am about basketball, and you know I ain't separating nothing because it comes from the same brain. So that's what it is. I don't see no reason to separate nothing. It's all this BDF 44. It's exactly what it is. So that's what I got to say, man. Feels good to be back. I thank everybody for watching. I'm out.